I will answer the question that you are probably asking. The answer is yes. I did design my facial hair to look like a human light bulb. Watch. I have a good idea. See, that's there. My name is Munish. I'm a predictive analyst with Recorded Future, and I've been working with UNDP to do a case study, and I want to give a shout out to Millie Begovic, who couldn't be here but has been super awesome. This is one of my favorite maps for obvious reasons. It turns your perspective of the world upside down. But it also helps me think about how I can see the same thing differently. So at Recorded Future, what we've tried to do is use time and use data and map it over time. So that creates a timeline, gives you a different perspective on your information. What that means really is you can time travel. You can look at information before it and see what it looks like, look at it in the moment, and then look at it retrospectively. Like you're driving, your rearview mirror, look immediately around you, and then on the horizon. Like you're on an information superhighway, if you will. It's a good term, someone should coin that. So text has this predictive power in it. There's references, June 16th, Q3 2013, last Thursday. And when you bring that together, it has incredible analytical and predictive power. Really, it adds another dimension. There's usually probability, impact. Now you have time range, lead time, in your case with crisis mapping. So what we decided to do is look at the conflict in Georgia in August 2008 and what was going on there. But we needed a framework, a methodology, a flux capacitor, or something to get us to move back and forth. So we had these time windows. 3 people got that reference. This is the mountain of data that you're looking at in that perspective from the open source web. And it's a mess, it's a mountain, and you need to map it in some way, and not just by count, but by event time. When you add time to something, you can say all those references are about that time point. And this is a look at momentum, where there's a shift change. Obviously, in August 2008, or in the early part, is when the conflict got hot. So that's understandable. But now we can look at where that information is coming from and what it represents. So you can look at the different entities that are there, people, places, organizations, and how they're related to each other. More importantly, how does that shift over time? You can start to rapidly test, and what we did is test some hypotheses. What changes? Who showed up that wasn't there before? What are the different connections, and could we see any of those coming? What did that tell us about the change that was happening in the conflict? We also looked at the sources that were reporting. I don't need to tell you volume and velocity do not equal veracity, because you deal with both of those. So you can segment. We segmented those different groups and said, where are we getting the information from? Is it thorough? Are we rigorous? And is this reproducible? We also looked at sentiment and Mikhail Saakashvili. A lot of people have different ideas about sentiment. We just use it as another layer, not only to point you to how to look at the information, but when. Does it change? How does this echo with what's actually happening? What does that mean about his position? That helped us start to emerge some triggers and drivers that we could look at later around statements, incidents, meetings. So just a few weeks ago, Georgia had their presidential election. So we decided to take a look at that. And this is the prospective view. You'll see 2 peaks. One is in late September, when there was a protest about a film, another film, and then the anticipation of the election coming up on October 1st. So this is from data gathered before then. With data gathered within a few days of October 1st and a few days after, there's one peak, October 1st, as you would expect. But then, when you look back, you get a different story. There's a sort of surprise in that election, if you were following it, and that Ivanishvili won, and now you see that huge peak is just a small bump. The big peak is when he announces cabinet, and that second peak is a future event that is yet to happen, a meeting. So the real power comes when you can put the 3 of these together, get a time-textured view. And now you really understand the elections. And how much text have we read? Not that much. So what I want to encourage you to do is next time you're sitting on some data, think about how you can use human creativity, intuition, amplified by scale, volume, and computation. Put those 2 together. I know you're worried about the singularity. We're already on our way. And everybody knows Patrick Meyer's a cyborg, so that's just public knowledge. There's no way he could produce that much information. It's just not possible. So I encourage you to also be rigorous about it, though, not to play with it, because there are different perspectives about the future. So I challenge you, crisis mappers, analysts, data scientists, and designers, the next time you're sitting on some data, see if you can use time to discover a different way to look at the same world. Thank you very much.